Well, hello and welcome. We are in a countdown to several things. First, and most importantly for you, the bar exam. For the rest of the world, the countdown to the Super Bowl, and guess who I'm supporting. Um, Today's message, as we count down a couple weeks before the bar exam, is really a message about attitude. And it's also a message about Saints football. So if you're a football fan, maybe this will be more interesting. If you're not, bear with me. I think it's got a relationship anyway. Um, my connection to Saints football does not go back years and years and years. In fact, it starts really with Hurricane Katrina. At the time, we were living in the Panhandle in Florida, not very far from New Orleans, about 5 hours, 6 hours. And we owned a coffee shop that was franchised out of New Orleans called PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. So we felt some affinity to New Orleans. We'd been there on lots of trips, and we had sort of the typical tourist reaction to the city. It was fun, not someplace that we necessarily understood, but we sure liked going there. Right before Hurricane Katrina, in the year before that, our daughter had finished and graduated at the University of Southern California, and she was a great football fan, and she had taken some classes with Reggie Bush and some of the other members of the USC football team. And we had traveled out to LA more than once for games, and quite frankly, if you've ever seen a college football game in a stadium with 100,000 people, it's quite an experience. And when you get to see a team like USC's was in those days with Leinart and Bush and others, it was pretty extraordinary. So we were fans in every sense of the word. After Hurricane Katrina, and we had seen the devastation in our own area as well as throughout the Gulf Coast and no doubt in New Orleans, we really watched and wondered what would happen to our coffee roasting facility in New Orleans. It survived. What would happen to the people there and the businesses? A lot of them did not. And we were sort of intrigued in the way that sports sometimes becomes a solution to some of those problems. And so we made a decision that we would buy season tickets for the Saints if and when they came back to New Orleans. And of course they did come back, and we bought our season tickets, which was kind of unusual because it was certainly a trek to get to the games. But one of the things, if you've ever owned season tickets to a professional sporting team, they tend to send you lots of little tchotchkes, little things to put on, bumper stickers and calendars and all sorts of posters and all sorts of other things. If you've seen some of my other videos from time to time, depending on where I'm recording, you'll see pictures of Reggie Bush and Drew Brees and other Saints and paraphernalia and things there in the background. In any event, that very first year, coming back into the Superdome, the Saints sent all of their season ticket holders a bumper sticker, and it simply said, "Winning is an attitude." Here's the bar exam part for you. At about this point in the countdown to the test, I get really tired. My day is filled primarily with taking phone calls from my students, and in between calls trying to answer emails, and trying to meet students wherever they are on the anxiety, neuroses, fear, comfort, excitement, let's get it done, wherever they are on that spectrum. That's what I'm trying to do, is to meet and work with them. But frankly, it becomes weary because every individual has so many different needs, and at this point, they're all important, they're all critical. In that process of working with students during this period of time, one of the things that I discovered that's a real determinant of success is attitude. That's why I talk so much about it in these videos and to the students in my course, in the emails, and even in our phone conversations. I can't find a replacement for attitude that helps you with success. Now, when we went to the Saints that first season and the very first night, which was the Monday night game against Atlanta, and if you're a football fan, you know what happened. It was an extraordinary game. The crowd went berserk, and the Saints beat the Falcons, and it was just an amazing time. I've been at championship games. I've been at World Series games. I've never had an experience like being in the Superdome that night. Nothing ever compared to it. There was an attitude in that stadium that night, and really throughout all the time that we've been season ticket holders, that was pretty extraordinary. These were people, many of whom had no homes, many of whom had lost everything that was important to them, many of whom had lost family members. And you'd say, well, so why would they care about football? Well, football was a way to take some of that frustration and sadness, some of that determination as a survivor, and do something with it. And they did. And they brought an attitude to the game. And the team brought an attitude as well. You know, sports is a great metaphor because in sports you win or lose. It's a zero-sum game. The bar exam is much like that. It's also a zero-sum game. You pass or you fail. It's hard to tie. And yet, the Saints were losers for so many years, and now on the verge of a Super Bowl, and who knows what will happen there. But no matter what occurs, it sounds pretty extraordinary because their expectations were so low for so long that one of their radio announcers back in the day used to say, you know, pigs will fly and hell will freeze over before the Saints make it to the Super Bowl. So when the play-by-play announcer for the Saints called the winning field goal in the NFC Championship, his call of it is really classic. He says, it's good, it's good. The emotion in his voice, he's breaking. And he says, pigs are flying, hell is frozen over, the Saints are going to the Super Bowl. The attitude had changed. Now, what does that mean for you as a bar taker? Well, I had the opportunity to work with a student yesterday that I thought epitomized this. This student had written an essay. It's a bright student, talented student, repeat bar taker. Had written an essay, taken them 60 minutes to write the essay, and it was about 850 words long. And it was not a good essay. It was very superficial, not showing any depth at all. Student went back after our conference and rewrote that essay. This time, they wrote it in 45 minutes, and it was about 1,400 words, and it was really well done. It just worked well. It was well formatted, well structured, good content, everything. I said, well, what happened? Did you get smarter in 4 or 5 days? No, I didn't get any smarter in the subject. Did you learn more about how to write? No, I didn't learn more about how to write. Well, what did you do? Well, I just let go. I stopped trying to be perfect, is what this student said to me. I stopped trying to worry about whether it was going to pass or fail. I just let it flow. I changed my attitude about it. I thought, oh, you know, that's really what it's about. Winning is an attitude. Passing is an attitude. If your attitude is that you're going to be in trouble unless you're perfect, you're right. You are in trouble. If your attitude is the bar examiners hate me and I'm going to fail, you're probably right. If your attitude is my mentor is terrible, my bar review course sucks, the world hates me, you're right. But if your attitude is, you know, I think I can do this. I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to do the best I know how to do. I'm going to let it flow. You're right. That will happen as well. You know, I wish that there was some easy way that I could instill in my students that winning attitude. I know Sean Payton. He's been a customer of ours in our coffee shops for a couple of years. He's a very nice guy, very low-key, very straightforward individual outside of a football field. I've met Drew Brees, same thing. Reggie Bush, same thing. They're really very down-to-earth people, but they've all got that winning attitude. They expect to win. They expect to be successful at the things they do. Are they always successful? Absolutely not. But they've got an attitude about what they're doing that I think we can learn from. You know, they're professionals at what they do. We should be professionals at what we do in taking the bar exam. We should bring an attitude, an expectation of success to the work that we're doing. You know, right now, as the bar exam starts to get closer and closer and it's looming on your horizon, it's easy to be frightened. It's easy to be anxious. It's easy to be worried about all the things that could go wrong or all the things you don't know. But I would say instead you should focus on all the things that can go right. There's a story going around right now that the field goal kicker for the Saints, Derek Hartley, woke up the night before the NFC Championship game, 2 in the morning, called his dad and said, Dad, I just had a dream. I dreamed that I was going to kick the winning field goal in tomorrow's game in overtime from the 42-yard line. Well, if you know anything about the game, he kicked the winning field goal in overtime. He was a little off. He kicked it from 40 yards. And, you know, I think he had a good attitude going into that kick. He knew he was going to make it. I don't think you have to have a dream that you're going to pass the bar exam, but I think you have to have an attitude that says, I can do it. You have to have an attitude of winning, of being successful, of passing. If we can help you with that attitude, we're glad to do it. But know that I expect you to pass. I have confidence that you can pass. And if you can take that same confidence and let it flow, I think you're going to have a winning day at the bar exam. And really, in life, that's what's going to matter right now. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll be back to you soon with another message.